Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Uh, Welcome to this weekly video lecture. In this video tutorial, I will discuss about Mac OS. All right. So let's go to the GCF Global, right, and go to the Mac OS Basic, right. Let's talk about Mac, right? So, what is Mac? Mac is basically an operating system that was designed by Apple, and it's similar to Windows, but it is developed by another companies. Okay, so if you do not have a chance to practice or play around with the experiment with the Mac, I would suggest you that once in a while you may need to use the Mac computer in the library or in your schools. Okay, I know that STC we have a few Mac, right? Just go to the computer lab and check it out, because the only way that we can get fluent how to use the Mac is by practice, right? So I personally is a window users, right? I don't use Mac a lot that much too, okay? Because most of the computer in our school are Windows based. But for the purpose of the exam and for the purpose of course material, we need to learn about Mac, okay? Uh, so these are Mac user interface. As you can notice that they are similar to Windows. It's user friendly and it's a GUI based, right? It's a graphical user interface. Actually, Mac is one of the first computer that is based on the graphical user interface, but Microsoft saw that Mac is a good computer, so later on they come with a Windows operating system. All right. Here we can see that they have their own version for Office 2016, right? They have their own version for Office for Mac. So if you are using Mac, uh, you may to you may need to download the Mac version of Office. All right. Since they are different platform, uh, you need to make sure that when you purchase Office program, they are compatible with your operating system. Okay, so here are some of the earlier version of macOS, right? As you can see that on the website, it say that Mac Mojave, High Sierra, Sierra, El Capitan, and Yosemite, right? In some older version was called OS X or OS 10. However, many people use the term OS X or Mac OS. I usually call that Mac OS. Let me show you let me show you the latest operating system for Mac, right? I know that some of the students may use Mac here, right? So Mac OS latest one, all right? So the latest version is, this is kind of old too. It's not Sierra. Sierra is the old one here. Uh, Here, MacVentura, all right? MacVentura is 13.0. It was released on October 24th, 2022. So this is the latest operating system for Mac. It's called MacVentura. Before MacVentura was Mac Monterey, right? Mac Monterey is 12.6, right? And before Mac Monterey is Big Sur, right? Big Sur. So notice that Apple use all of the mountains name for their operating system. Let's see if we can get the last three of Mac here. Here we go. Before Ventura is this one, Mac Monterey, right? So if you are using Mac, please check it out. What is the operating system that you use, right? Mac succeeded by Mac Ventura, and before Mac Ventura is Monterey, right? So this is Monterey, and before Monterey is the Big Sur, right? Before that is preceded by preceded by Mac Big Sur. All right. So every 2 years, Microsoft released their new operating system. It is important that if you are a Mac user, you need to update to the latest operating system because the latest one usually has more features and they fix the vulnerabilities that they find in the previous version. All right. That is one of the reason that we need to update our operating system on regular basis. Even right now, we have Windows 11, right? I know that our school, STC, we are still using Windows 10. However, next year, which is 2023, we start gonna use Windows 11, all right? So that is the first thing that we need to know. Okay, so now you know the history of the about the history of the Mac OS version. So let's talk about the user account here because user account is one of the important things that students need to learn. User account basically allow you to sign in to your computer, right? By default, Mac already has one user account, right? Which you were required to create when you set up your computer for the first time, right? If you plan to share your computer with others, then you need to create a user account for each of that person. So let's talk about that. There are three different type of user account in Mac. The first one is administrator, right? What is administrator? Administrator account are special account that are used for making changes to the system setting and managing others user account. They have full access to everything, to every setting on the computer, right? So if you have a computer, normally you need to have at least one administrator account. When I go to the office every morning, I log in as Husin2 and put my password. Well, the school assigned me as a standard account or regular account, right? Standard account or regular account. The school did not assign me with an admin account because admin account is usually reserved for the IT administrator or IT staff that work with the school that fix all the computer in our colleges. All right. So normally you don't want to assign a user an administrator account because they may accidentally delete or modify a file, which is dangerous to the computers. Okay. So that's the first one. The second one is called standard account. Standard account are the basic account that used for normal everyday tasks. So as a standard users, you can do just about everything, but like running a software and personalizing your desktop. But normally you are not allowed to modify or change the computer setting or install programs, right? So most of us that use computer are using a standard account, right? Even administrator, sometimes they use even at IT administrator for day-to-day job, they never log in as an administrator because they may accidentally modify or delete files that are important. So if for just everyday tasks, they may use a standard account, but when they want to modify or change the setting, then they log in as administrator. So we have administrator account, and then we have a standard account, and the last one is called managed account. We call this is like a child account, right? Managed account or children account or parental control account, right? So managed account are the only one that can have parental control, right? You create a managed account for each child, then go to the parental control setting in your system preference to set website restriction, time limit, and more, right? So this is usually for student or for kids that are below 17 years old, all right? So remember that this is very important to know, right? The different type of user account. How you create a user account in Mac, right? In Windows, you go to Start, Control Panel, and go to Users Account, okay? And then change or modify user account in that. You go to Control Panel. But if you are a Mac users, right? Mac users, you need to go to system preference, right? You need to go to system preference, go to Apple icon, and then navigate to system preference. After that, you go to users and group here, right? From user and group, then you start follow the instruction. So that's how you create a user account. When uh, when users try to go to system preference, they usually ask for a password, right? For a username and password. Okay, so these are the things that you can do uh, in the for Mac users, right? Uh, all right. What else here? So I think these are very important for users account, right? Okay, let's go back to the other one. Let's go to system preference, right? System preference. Where is it? Common application in Mac. Okay, this is very important, right? Mac Mac OS comes with several useful applications that already installed, right? So let me mention to you the most common one, Safari, right? Safari is a web browser that built in for Mac and has many of the same feature as other browser like Chrome's or Firefox. They are similar, but Safari applied to Mac, right? Mac OS. However, if you are a Windows user and want to download Safari, yes, you can. So you can go to the apple.com and then type Safari download. They allow you to download the Safari browser, right? Mail, this is for email, and they also have calendars, right? I use this a lot. In Windows, I use Microsoft Outlook to do my calendar scheduling here. Similar with that, right? Uh, Again, if you want to practice, please go to the nearest STC library, computer labs or library. We have a few Mac computers there. All right. Okay. Messages. This is for messaging and their app store, so you can buy and or purchase program, right? In the app store, we call it, which is provide seamless way to search for and purchase and install apps online. Okay. iTunes, for example, for online store music, movie, and so on there, right? Time machine, right? What is time machine? Time machine allow you to back up the file automatically to an external drive. This is very important because whenever you are in the computer, you need to back up your data, but not the program. Remember, we need to back up our data on regular basis, maybe once a month or every 2 weeks or every week, right? In our school, we back up data. The system administrator in STC, they back up files every day. Okay, so when one day you work for a company, they will do backup on the every day. They usually back up about 10 p.m., 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. Right? Because it takes some time to back up the data. Uh, or when I used to work for a company in California, we schedule the backup run around 10 or 11 p.m. Okay. System preference. Okay, this is very important. What is system preference? System preference is like control panel in Windows, right? You can adjust your computer setting, right? This includes various system configuration setting, right? So if you wanna change the display or fix the network issues, right? Change the date, uh, modify the security and privacy, you need to go to system preference. So system preference is a tool in Mac, that allow you to adjust or change your computer setting. Okay. Okay. What else we need to know here, right? Troubleshooting. I think this troubleshooting is very important, right? Troubleshooting. The the basic troubleshooting techniques, they are specific one and they are general one, right? The general one is make sure that whenever they give you an error message, make sure you take a note, because when there is an error message, they usually tell you, oh, you need to do this in order to solve the problem. Many people, they just click OK without reading the error message, and that is wrong. So that is a big no-no. So we need to be patient and take a note. What is the error message? What is the last thing that the user do that create that problem? So that is the first step, right? And then after that, you need to check the cable. Sometimes the cable is disconnected. So we need to double check that the cable or the power are on and the cable are connected properly, right? So read the error message, always check the cable, right? And start to think what's the solution, right? Think what the solution, and then you need to document the solution, right? For future reference. And lastly, you need to restart the computer, right? So sometimes, especially if you are a Windows user, we need to restart the computer on a regular basis, because that is like to refresh all the static and memory problem that. Okay. So that's the general troubleshooting in Mac. Make sure you read that. So if you haven't read this portion, please read that, right? Okay, troubleshooting specific problems, right? For example, when your application is frozen, right? Sometimes if you are a window user, call this like a blue screen of death. But in Mac, what happened when the application is frozen? Well, you need to press this one, Command, Option, and Escape, right? Command, Option, and Escape. Once you do that, you highlight the program and then force to quit, right? In Windows, we call it Control Alt Delete. Control Alt Delete. This is how we force force quit the application, right? If you're not familiar with uh, Mac keyboard, so I'd like to bring it up Mac keyboard here, right? So you need to get familiar with the Mac keyboard here, right? Uh, Here, right? This is an example of a Mac keyboard. Right? That is the Mac keyboard. So if you're not familiar, once in a while you can go to Best Buy or Walmart, check it out, how they look like. Okay, what else I want to mention here, right? Well, my lecture is in addition to all the different unit that uh, they put it in on the website. Okay, so if you haven't reviewed all of this, please review this carefully, and it may take about a few hours. I usually uh, divide it into 2 or 3 sessions, right? Maybe you do it Monday, one and a half hour, and then Wednesday another 1.5 hours. Then on the weekend you just review again, right? In order to understand Mac. So why people using Mac? Well, one of the reason that people use Mac is some of the reason that people use Mac. One is they are more secure and more stable, right? They are relatively more secure or more stable. They are based on the Unix or Linux system, right? Based on the Unix and Linux system, and their quality control is usually they are good because they make their own hardware and software. Well, not software, they make their own hardware. The software is programmer that create an app for them, like Microsoft for Mac, for example, right? Uh, Fashion designer or artists, they like to use Mac because Mac is well known for their graphics, right? Their graphic is one of the best. Okay, solid state drive, the hard disk that they make, they use a solid state hard disk. Okay, uh, Mac use solid state hard drive. So let's check it out. Mac laptop here, right? How much it costs here, right? So here is a Mac laptop. Perhaps we can use this one, right? MacBook Pro. Where is this? Mac. Where is Mac? Refurbish. How come it's a refurbish? MacBook. Okay, let's put this one. Now Mac use the new processor is called M1, right? M1 chip. So MacBook 13 inches using M1 chip, 8 gig of memory, and using 256 gigabyte of hard drive. Okay, so this is an example of Mac, right? They usually cost a little bit more. Oh, I think I have one more thing before I forget here. GCF Global, right? I want to mention about virtualization here. Let me go to this technology again and then go to the Mac, right? Where is Mac? Uh, Mac Basic. Okay. Can you install Windows in Mac? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Okay. There are several ways to use Windows in Mac. One is using a boot camp. Boot camp is a built-in tool that come with Apple's computer that allow you to install Windows in a dual boot configuration. Or there is a program called Parallel, right? Let me show it to you. Parallel for Mac, right? This program allow you to have a dual boot. It costs $75, right? $75. Okay. So if you want to have Windows in your Mac, yes, you can. You need to install a dual boot programs, which is parallel, or you can use the boot camp, which is a built-in tools that come with Apple, or you can use a virtual machine. Do you see this? Let's say that you have Apple Mac, and then you want to install Windows in it. You can download virtual program here, right? And then put Windows in it. How you do that? This is called VirtualBox. You see this? VirtualBox or VMware is our popular virtual machine program, right? This one is free, okay? VMware also free, but they are commercial version of that, okay? See, they mentioned about parallel too. So there are several ways to install Windows in Mac. You can use virtualization, virtual machine, right? You install this virtual box, then within virtual box, you set up this Windows in it. Okay. Another way is to create a dual boot, right? So if you like to use Windows while users boot up the computer, they have a choice. They want to boot up as a Mac or they want to boot up as a Windows. All right. Okay, I think that's about it for my lecture. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Please review and study this material carefully and study for the final exam. Thank you and have a wonderful and great days or rest of the week. Bye.